Patch 2.3 brings us Komano Manato. He's the new A-rank agent on the block, but don't let that label fool you. He is crazy strong if you play him right. How do you play him right? Well, just do as I say. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, my name is Hako. So, in this video I'm gonna break down everything you need to know about Komano Manato. How to play him, how to build him, what engines to use, and tips and tricks. So let's get to it. Now, first off, Komano Manato is a Rupture agent. And you may or may not know, but Rupture agents, they work kinda differently to other agents. Most importantly, the attack stat doesn't do too much for them. Instead, you want to be prioritizing HP, crit rate, and crit damage. Rupture agents also has their own special stat called Sheer Force. And we get Sheer Force by building HP. We also convert a certain percentage of our attack into it. But the big one is HP. Now let's break down Komano Manato's kit. He has his special resource just like basically every other character. For Manato, it is called Blazing Heart. And once you reach 75 Blazing Heart, the bar maxes out at 100, you will enter into the Molten Edge state. Now, for everything you do on Manato, you want to be in the Molten Edge state, and there are some very nifty things to get you in it. And what the Molten Edge state is basically a big buff to Manato. His abilities gets enhanced, he gains 10% crit rate, and he also gains 20% fire damage bonus. A lot of attacks made in the Molten Edge state will also reduce Manato's own HP. So he can drain his own HP, but he also has like ways to get it back. Now Manato has two different basic attack strings. One is available outside of Molten Edge, and one is available in Molten Edge. Most crucial to play Manato is always keeping him in the Molten Edge state, so we only worry about the attack in the Molten Edge state. Manato is an on-field carry, and he is reliant on his basic attacks to do damage. Now, his basic attack is not the main part of his damage necessarily, but if there's nothing else to do, you should be basic attacking. For the dodge, it's nothing special, but now I want you to pay attention to his assist, because his assist follow-up is one of his most useful tools in combat. And what is an assist follow-up, you ask? Well, it is the follow-up attack we can do after defensive assist. Now, Manato, he has some shortcuts that allows him to do assist follow-ups outside of that, but we'll get to that. Now, whenever Manato does a defensive assist, he, number one, gets 75 Blazing Heart, and he also gets access to his follow-up attack called Lone Shadow Breaking Fang. Now, assist follow-up Lone Shadow Breaking Fang is Manato's bread and butter. Now, Breaking Fang is absolutely goated. It has so much damage on it, and it also looks really fun to use. And you will notice Breaking Fang immediately, because that's the animation where it looks like he's trying to pound the enemy down into the ground. So when we activate Breaking Fang, you want to keep pressing the attack button to get all 7 hits out, because they do an increasing amount of damage like the more we hit. Every hit will also drain 2% of Manato's max HP if he's above 30%. Now for the special attacks, these ones also get spicy. We can either press or hold the special attack button if we don't have enough energy. If we press it, we can time it together with an attack, so it's kinda like a parry, and Manato will restore 20% of his missing HP, and he can also then follow up with his assist follow-up attack. Now, the healing part of this skill has a 20-second internal cooldown, although there is no cooldown on parrying and then going immediately to the assist follow-up. Now for the second special attack, Return to Ashes Sacrifice, we can hold the special attack button. Manato will grind on the blade, consume up to 10% of his max HP, and gain up to 100 Blazing Heart. So this is like the easiest way to enter into the Molten Edge state. And this one also has a little bit of a parry mechanic to it, because if Manato takes a hit while he is grinding the blade, the follow-up attack will be enhanced, and we can immediately follow up with the assist follow-up Breaking Fang. And this is kind of the gameplay loop of Komano Manato. We are looking for opportunities that will allow us to do the Breaking Fang, which is the assist follow-up. It can be achieved with defensive assists and by parrying with the special attacks. So Manato is kind of focused on quick swapping and being like very reactive in your playstyle. If there are no attacks coming, feel free to continuously pummel the enemy with his basic attacks. And always make sure to be in the Molten Edge state. Now Manato also has an EX special attack called Return to Ashes Fall. And now this attack can only be used if we're in the Molten Edge state. If we're not in the Molten Edge state, we cannot use his EX special. The EX special deals a good amount of damage, and it also heals Manato for 33% of his max HP. So you might be noticing that Manato has a bunch of stuff that will consume his HP, but he also has a bunch of stuff that will allow him to regain it. And we'll get more into like how he uses that in his kit in just a moment. As for his chain attack and his ultimate, they are both extremely good. And if you're using Manato as a main carry, you want to make sure that he gets 2 chain attacks off on every stun window. Now for Manato's core passive, it's called Mighty Molten Edge. It states that for every 1 max HP, Manato gains 0.1 sheer force. His core passive is also what lets him enter into the Molten Edge state. Now the bar maxes out at 100 and he enters Molten Edge at 75. The way this bar goes down is time-based, and it will consume 3.3 blazing heart per second until he is out of the Molten Edge state. Which means that if you fill up the bar to full, you have around half a minute to be in the Molten Edge state without refilling it. Also, when consuming HP during consecutive slashes from basic attack Blazing Wind Misty Slash, which is simply his basic attack when he's in the Molten Edge state, or assist follow-up, the attack's crit damage is increased by 50%, and the adrenaline generation rate increases by 100%. What is adrenaline? Well, it's Rupture Agent's version of energy. Also, while in the Molten Edge state, Manato's crit rate increased by 10%, and his fire damage increased by 20%. For Manato's additional ability is called Rekindled Heart, and it requires either a support character or a stun character. And it states, whenever Manato uses his ultimate, he gains 8 stacks of Remnant Flame. And when using a chain attack, he gains 4 stacks of Remnant Flame. And these stacks last for 60 seconds, stacks up to 20 times. And what each of these stacks does is that when basic attack Misty Slash or the assist follow-up hits an enemy, if Manato's HP is below 100%, 1 stack of Remnant Flame is to be consumed to restore 2% of his max HP. So the good thing about this is that the stacks will not deplete if you're at max HP. So why does Manato want to like dance up and down with his HP? Some of it has to do with his engine, but also the core passive clearly states, when consuming HP during consecutive slashes from basic attack Blazing Wind or assist follow-up, the attack's crit damage gets increased by 50%, and also 100% more adrenaline generation. And if you remember from the basic attack and from the assist follow-up, if Manato is at 30% HP or less, they will not consume his own HP. Which means that if we don't consume HP, they're losing out on 50% crit damage. So we always want to make sure that Manato has enough HP so he can consume his own HP to increase his own attacks. The best ways to restore his HP is 1 from the special attacks. Once every 20 seconds we can parry an attack, and Manato will restore 20% of his missing HP. His EX special will restore 33% of his max HP, and after we've done an ultimate, we gain 8 stacks of Remnant Flame. After chain attack, we get 4 stacks, and this will allow him to lifesteal on every hit. And this is also why I want you to get in the system to always do 2 chain attacks with Manato. You start the stun window with another character, you send in Manato, you cancel it, switch to another character, and then you start the stun window again and you send in Manato. If you then do an ultimate on top of that, you will then have 16 stacks of Remnant Flame, which will allow him to lifesteal back a big percentage of his own HP, especially if you can pair it together with an EX special as well, and also maybe with Lucia's ultimate. So that is Komano Manato's like kit and general gameplay loop. You want to be playing fast and loose with this HP. You want to make sure that you're always in the Molten Edge state. You can easily refill it with a defensive assist into Komano Manato, and at any point in time you can just hold the special attack button and you will grind up the Molten Edge yourself. His absolutely hardest hitting like basic attack is his assist follow-up. The best way to enter it is through a defensive assist, but if you are on Manato, we obviously cannot defensive assist into Manato. What you can then do instead is take parries via special attack, either by pressing or holding the special attack button. When you parry and then press the attack buttons repeatedly, you will pivot into assist follow-up Breaking Fang. And to truly master Manato, I want you to get into the habit of, instead of dodging an attack, you parry it with his special attack instead. The more assist follow-ups you manage to do during an encounter, the better. And remember to keep an eye on Manato's HP. You don't want to be set at 30% or lower, because then he cannot consume his own HP to power up his abilities. He is quite an easy character to pick up and play, but he is quite a hard character to master, and he's quite fun to master as well. Now his lifestealing also comes into play when it comes to his own engine called Grill o Wisp. It has HP as a main stat because that's what Rupture Agent scales off. As an additional ability, it also gives 24% fire damage and when the equipper's HP decreases, their crit rate increases by 24% for 5 seconds. So this is an incredibly potent engine on Manato. It has everything that he needs, and it plays into his playstyle perfectly. But as you also can see, if Manato does not have enough HP to drain, well, you're gonna lose out on the crit rate pretty quickly because it only lasts for 5 seconds. And Gorilla Wisp is Manato's best in slot engine, even surpassing the Xingming Birdcage, even if you only have one copy of it. After that, his best engine is Radio Wave Journey, especially if you've gotten a few copies of it. Radio Wave kinda plays into Manato's playstyle of doing 2 chain attacks and an ultimate in a stun window. And speaking of stun window, they are kinda specific for Manato, so I'm gonna give you a breakdown of exactly how to play them a little bit later on in the video. Now, as for the 4-piece set, I will say that I don't feel like there's a perfect one in the game for Manato. There is a best in slot one, and it is the Yunko Tails. Now, why I don't think that this is perfect for him is because this set was constructed with Yi Xuan in mind. She's a character that uses EX specials a lot, and she has no problem having basically 100% uptime of this. Manato, on the other hand, there is gonna be quite a lot of downtime because he doesn't do too many EX specials. Now, in a stun window where it really matters, he will be able to stack this one up, especially if we give him both of the chain attacks. So it's not perfect, but it is the best one currently. Another good option if you run him with other fire agents, like say Kolida or Lighter, is a 4-piece Inferno Metal. For the 2-piece, supplement with what you need. I've chosen Woodpecker Electro because I need to boost his crit rate somewhat. And with Woodpecker combined with Junko's 4-piece and his own engine, I'm quite close on reaching 100% crit rate on Manato. But if you're all good on crit rate, well, you can opt in for a 2-piece Branch and Blade Zone. For disc number 4, you either want crit rate or crit damage, depending on what stat you need. Can also consider HP percentage if it has really good substats, but try to get good crit pieces. For disc number 5, you want fire damage bonus or HP percentage. Let the substats dictate. And remember, Manato is a Rupture agent, so he can make absolutely no use out of pen ratio. So, fire damage bonus or HP percentage, and in testing they are very close to one another, so let the substats dictate. For number 6, no question about it, you want HP percentage. And for the substats we're gunning for, we're looking for the crit stats and we're looking for HP percentage. And good stats to aim for would be something like this. I'm a little bit low on the HP, and if you can push it to 20,000, that is great. But overall, this Manato is quite a good Manato, so aim for these stats. Now let's talk some teams. As of right now, this would be Manato's strongest team in the game. Yufufu and Lucia. Lucia is the go-to support for any sort of Rupture agent, so obviously the second best in slot. And Yufufu is one of the few stunners that works with Rupture agent. So like if you have these two characters, pairing them up with Manato will yield the absolute best results. Now Manato comes out on Lucia's banner, so chances are that you are gonna have those two together. But you know, Lucia is going to be a very contested unit to run with Yi Xuan and also Jidari. So like, how can we construct these teams differently? Well, substitutes for Yufufu could be Lighter, Pulchra, Kolida. Now, Lighter is a super good character to pair up together with Manato. The problem is to activate Lighter's additional ability. As you can see in this team constellation, it won't be active. So then we have to switch out Lucia for someone that will activate it. Now Lighter requires either Calydon or Attacker. So a team like this is actually very potent, and it works really well. Especially with Manato's heavy focus and incentivizing of defensive assists. A slightly unorthodox team that you could run is Manato, Lighter and Orphe. This team is a little bit of a weird team, but it does work especially against content weak to fire. But very much free-to-play friendly option for a stunner is Pulchra. Now I personally got them better results with Kolida as the stunner rather than Pulchra, and for me personally it just feels a little bit better since, I don't know, it's just something with Pulchra and kinda messing up defensive assists, and it doesn't really switch to whatever character you want for all attacks. This is just my own personal taste, but I prefer Kolida, and a very free-to-play friendly Manato team could be looking something like this. Just remember that Manato doesn't benefit off attack as much as other characters that aren't Rupture. And an actually more potent team would look something like this instead. Pangino is able to give Manato a bunch of sheer force, something that he makes good use of, and the total buff amount becomes a lot higher than any other A rank support. And to your best extent, I would try to slot in a stunner with Manato. Now, as for Manato's Mindscapes, they are all really good. Every single one of them. And an M6 Manato will perform vastly superior to an M0 Manato. The really big ones that change up the gameplay is M2 and M6. Remember that I said that if you manage to parry with a special attack, you can immediately do an assist follow-up? Well, that gets unlocked with M2. All of the Mindscapes have a bunch of damage slotted into them, and another big one is M6. And the big one with M6 is the fact that if we do a special attack on a stunned enemy, we can immediately launch into an assist follow-up. And remember that I said that we would talk about the stun window? Well, we're almost there. So, let's talk some actual combat. Start every combat by entering into the Molten Edge state, which can be done by holding the special attack button. Keep going until you've fully stacked up, and then you know that you have a full half minute ahead of you to not have to worry about it. Take every opportunity you get to defensive assist into Manato or by parrying with his special attack. Make sure that you have enough HP so that he can consume some of it with his attacks to power them up. If the encounter allows it, make sure that when you do your assist follow-up that you see it through to the end, because it gets increasingly harder hitting the more attacks we've done in the string. Remember, a good way to refill your HP is parrying with the special attack or doing the EX special. For a stun window, always make sure that Manato gets 2 shield attacks off and preferably save its ultimate for it. And speaking of stun window, let's talk about the big one. Now, the absolute best stun window rotation for Manato is this. Start the stun window with another character, send in Manato. If Manato has enough adrenaline, you can send in out on EX special on the enemy, but as soon as you click the button to do that, switch into another character and then trigger the chain attack again. Now send in Manato for a second chain attack, and after that use his ultimate. If Manato is M6, then proceed to do one special attack on that enemy, because the M6 allows him to immediately pivot into his assist follow-up immediately after that. Make sure to do that assist follow-up attack all the way out. That is the basic core stun concept of Manato. Give Manato 2 chain attacks. Between the first one, do an EX special if you have the adrenaline for it, then a special attack if he's M6 to also get an assist follow-up attack for free. Let's take that one more time, because this is where you'll get most of your points in that assault. Trigger the stun window with someone else, chain attack with Manato, cancel the stun window, EX special with Manato if you have enough energy, switch to another character to trigger the stun window again, send in Manato again, and then use his ultimate. If he is M6, special attack so we get an assist follow-up attack for free. Continuously bonk the enemy and then the stun window will be over. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you play Manato. Play fast and loose with your HP, look for opportunities to parry with his special attack, and play the stun window correctly. Always make sure that he's in the Molten Edge, and if possible try to keep him above 30% HP so he can consume it to power up his attacks. So everybody, I hope that you found this fun and helpful, and if you have any additional questions, slap it in a comment and I'll try to answer you as fast as possible. And if you have any additional tips for Manato, please also slap it down in the comments. And if you found this guide helpful, feel super free to help me out with maybe a thumbs up and a subscribe to the channel. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, Hako out.
Oh, I wish that you could just take it easy. Lay back, fast the way I roll. So get off my tail, or else you will get to say hello to my jolly sharks. Got a bite, don't you know? Don't you know? You should know that I'll fight them all. This shark's got a bite, don't you know? Hurry up and get it done, but don't run my patience to the ground. If you need me here, this shark's got a bite, don't you know? Keep it fun. When I try, I'm second to none.